call from?
Randall.
An inmate at the Virginia Department of Corrections, Red Onion State Prison. To accept this call, press 0.
This is Randall Via, and I'm currently serving 1,214 years for capital murder in Red Onion State Prison in the state of Virginia in the USA. And this is my podcast, Red Onion Randy. I hope you enjoy listening to me today. I'm American, and for the most part, American means guns. It means power. It means world rulers. Or at least it used to. It's kind of faded lately. So today, that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to discuss gun culture in prison and out of prison. I'm going to try to stay away from too many opinions because I know it can be a hot-button topic. So I'm simply going to speak from where I come from, my relationship with guns, and the role they play in my life and out of my life. You know, as of right now, sitting here on the phone, there is a guy standing about 15 feet above me with a riot gun pointed at us. Pretty much every time I leave that cell and I come out in the pod, I have a gun pointed at me. And a riot gun is a big gun, and it's got a 2-inch barrel on it. And it has the bullet, it's a rubber bullet. It's a solid rubber bullet. And it's the size of a grenade. You've seen any movie whatsoever where they have the grenade launcher slung underneath the rifle. They'll pull out that big canister shell. That's what it is, except it's made of solid rubber. And let me tell you, when that thing hits you, it hurts. And if you get hit in the head with it, it very well could kill you, break your neck, crack your skull. Like, it's no joke. And that's my life. Every time I leave a cell, I have a gun pointed directly at me. And it's a very uncomfortable feeling because you never know what that CO is going through. You never know what his day is like. And unfortunately, you have a lot of COs that come in here that have a tendency of taking their problems and with their wife and their children and their family, and their life on the street and taking it out on us in here because they have power. They have authority over us. They can say what they want to us. They can treat us how they want to. And unless you're willing to beat one of them up or stab one of them, there's not a damn thing you can do or say about it. And it's very emasculating. It's very depowering. I'm not sure that's a real word, but it is now. And to have that gun pointed at you, there are guys in here, and I'm guilty of this myself. You think, all it takes, because they keep their fingers on the trigger, at all times. If that gun is pointed in the pod, they keep their fingers on the trigger. So if they sneeze, they could literally shoot somebody, and they have the potential of killing somebody depending on where that bullet hits. That's life in prison now. I don't know about lower levels, like a level 1 or level 2 prison or level 3 prison and whatnot, but I know where I'm at, every day a gun is pointed at me. And it is a very strange feeling. You may walk up on somebody and the CO in the booth, he reads it a different way than actually you're doing it. And he could just pull the trigger. You could walk across the red line. They got red lines painted on the floor in here that inmates are not supposed to cross that red line. So if you're sitting there walking and you're not paying attention, you get caught up in the conversation. You're laughing and joking, or you're having a serious conversation. And that's very rare in prison. It's very rare to have a really good, serious, productive conversation in here. Normally, it's just frivolous crap. And you're not paying attention and you cross that red line, that CO has the right to shoot you for crossing that red line because you're out of bounds. You're in an unauthorized area. And whenever you're in an unauthorized area in prison, they are allowed to use force against you. And there's not a damn thing you can do or say about it. You can try. It just ain't going to do you no good. So to constantly have that fear of getting shot, it weighs on you. I understand the need to have guns in prison, because if somebody is getting stabbed up, you're going to want the guy in the booth to shoot that bastard to get him up off of you so you don't die. So you have to have them in here for security purposes, for control purposes, especially if your life is on the line. But it's uncomfortable. It's like having the sword of Damocles hanging over you at all times. And it's just swinging back and forth on a pendulum. Back and forth, back and forth. And you never know, when is it going to drop? And I've been shot by those guns. When I did what I did to L.A. on the rec yard in 2000 at Wallens Ridge State Prison, when I slit his throat with a razor blade and started beating him down, and Tennessee jumped in and helped. Like, we got shot up with the shotguns. Though they were the pellets back then, they were buckshot, just little rubber buckshot. Thankfully, we was kind of out in the middle of the rec yard, because very easily could have lost my eye. And there's been several guys, numerous guys at Red Onion and Wallens Ridge who got to fighting in the pod. And the COs in the booth started shooting them with the rubber buckshot. And some guys lost their eyes over getting shot with those rubber buckshot. I mean, they were tiny little pellets of rubber buckshot, the same as you would find in birdshot or buckshot. They had different ones. And that's the reason why they can't use them no more. That's the reason why they switched to the big, solid rubber bullets, because the buckshot were literally taking people's eyes and blinding them. And I was shot with that, but thankfully I was far enough away to where by the time it hit me, with my adrenaline and everything going, it just kind of just bounced off of me. It really didn't have penetrating power. So I've been shot with the gun. Now, I've never been shot with a real bullet made from lead or copper or what have you. I've never been shot with one of those, though I'm kind of surprised, to be honest with you, the way the life I lived when I was young, and the guns that I shot. And I thought guns were amazing. I mean, I grew up in a hillbilly, as a hillbilly. That's how I grew up. So hunting was very important to us. I remember 4 years old, my dad had got behind me and he held the gun up to my shoulder and everything so I could shoot a shotgun, teaching me how to shoot. Country boys, which I'm definitely one of them, as you can tell by the accent, we love guns. I mean, it is so important to us. Like, everybody grows up wanting a gun. And usually kids start off with a BB gun. And there's a very famous movie, A Christmas Story, where you have Ralphie, he wants the Red Ryder BB gun for Christmas. That's all he can think of. And it's true. That's all we thought of as kids. And it doesn't matter whether you're country or you're from the street. See, when you're from the country, you don't really care about handguns and pistols like that. Nah, we have guns for hunting. We want shotguns. We want rifles. We want scopes. We want to be able to shoot something from 200-300 yards out. Every country boy has a sniper complex. That's just, it's just something so cool and so deadly and kind of manly. And that's just the way we see it, kind of the way we're raised and taught. From going out, and making a little blind, hiding in the woods and waiting for that animal to come. Hearing it, listening for it, anticipating it. And being disappointed most times, because most times you go out to hunt, you don't come back with anything. But that's what drives you. That's what you live for, that next time you can go out there, because it's the next time you're going to get it. The next time you're going to bring some meat home. And a lot of us country boys, a lot of us country people, we need that meat. We need to go out and hunt deer, rabbit, squirrel, duck, just so we can have meat on the table, because meat is expensive for a lot of country people, because a lot of country people in this country are poor, believe it or not. I know a lot of people in other nations think that, pretty much every person in America is filthy rich and has whatever they want, but that's far from the truth. And so to go out there and to have that, it's an amazing feeling to be able to take an animal, to have that food, to have that meat. So we gravitate in the country towards rifles and shotguns. But people who grow up in the city, well, obviously you cannot carry a shotgun or a rifle around. They're too damn big. You're going to get arrested for doing that. Cops ain't going to tolerate that at all. So they gravitate more towards the handguns because the handguns are easier to conceal, especially for guys that are in the criminal lifestyle. A handgun it's good protection because, look, I don't care who you are. I don't care how badass you are. I don't care how much martial arts you know. People, let me tell you something about Hollywood and the movies. If a person points a gun at you, I don't care how much you train, you are not taking that gun out their hands. You are going to get shot, and that's the end of story. I know how to disarm someone with a gun. I know how to disarm someone who has a knife. Someone with a gun, I'm just simply going to do what they tell me to do and give them my money because it's just money. Now, if it's something that goes against my principles, hey, you're going to have to shoot me. I'm willing to die for what I believe in. But if you want my money, you want my watch or my credit cards, here, man, you can have that, man. Have fun with it, dude. You know what I'm saying? God loves you, man. I'm just going to look at it like I'm giving them a gift because I'm not stupid enough to try to disarm someone with a gun because, yeah, I'm going to get shot. You're not taking a gun from someone. Somebody with a knife, yeah, I'll try my hand with that because I'm confident in my abilities. I train. I teach myself. I practice when I can, when I have time to do so. So guns play an incredibly important role in all Americans' lives because there's no in between. There's no indifference when it comes to the gun situation in America. You're either all for guns or you are completely against guns. And I have to say, now that I've done the things that I've done, now that I've actually taken a man's life, now that I've been in numerous violent situations in prison, and I've seen numerous mass shootings, especially in schools in the United States. And you only hear about it in the United States. I have to say, and this is tough for me to say it, but I come down on the side of something has to be done about guns in this country. And yeah, I know the whole argument, guns don't cause violence, people cause violence. Look, it is so much easier to take a gun and kill somebody with it than it is to take a knife and stab someone to death. It takes a whole different set of balls to stab someone than it does to shoot someone. And this is coming from a man who has done both. I've literally been in life or death situations here in prison. I have fought to kill in prison. And yeah, and that's the thing, like, I remember going hunting. I remember that feeling. I remember the very first time I went hunting. It was with my dad. And we went out. It was me, my dad, and my Uncle Freddie. And I remember how much fun I had. I remember how excited I was. And it was in the fall. The leaves were all orange and yellow and gold and red and burgundy with a little bit of green. And, they were falling, and it was cool and crisp outside right before maybe like 2 weeks or something before the first snow. And I knew that, man, school was going to get canceled and I could stay home and play in the snow. And I was, like I said, I was young. I think I was in kindergarten for the second time because I had failed kindergarten the first time. So I think I was maybe 6 years old at this time when I went hunting for the first time. Even though I had shot guns before that, this was the first time I'd went hunting. And I remember going out and being so excited and shaking, and my dad happened to tell me, boy, calm the hell down. You're going to scare all the game away. We ain't going to get nothing. But I can't help it. I want to shoot something. I was so happy and so jacked up and damn. And it was one of the few happy moments that I had with my dad. And we went to where he worked at. That's where we went hunting at because he worked on a farm. And Jesse Breeden, That's the guy who owned the farm, and I loved it there. You know, he had these big barns, and you could climb up one ladder and go down a ladder in the back, and you had these bales of hay that you could climb over, and you had the cows you could chase around, and the dogs and the other animals and everything. And it was just, I loved that place. I mean, it was so magical. I mean, man, I missed that farm. I mean, that was a cool place. That's, you know I talked in a previous episode about one of the things I want to do when I go home. I'm going to have to drive up to that farm and ask whoever's living there if I can have permission to walk around, just so I can kind of reminisce on the few good times that I had with my dad. And we didn't get anything. Matter of fact, we didn't even see anything. But it didn't matter because I was with my dad. You know, I was a 6-year-old boy carrying a gun in the woods with my dad. Man, there was nothing greater. And it didn't matter. I didn't care that we got anything out. I was a little disappointed that I didn't get to kill a deer. But, I mean, let's face it, I was 6 years old. My chances of killing a deer would have been astronomical. I mean, that would have been a miracle from God if I would have actually got within 30 feet of shooting a damn animal. But it was just the whole experience. So, you know, I love guns. And I still do to this day. Sometimes somebody will get, you know, hunting magazines in here. And they'll, you know, let me read them or look at them and whatnot. And I love looking at the animals in there. But I love looking at the guns. I love keeping up with guns. I love bow and arrows. Even though I realize the violence and the heartache and the misery that comes from that, I still can't help but love what I love because it's enjoyable, it's pleasurable. There's something so satisfying about being able to hit a target because it takes discipline, it takes practice. Like, if you can hit what you aim at, you know you've done something. Not like important in your life, but it's a great accomplishment because it's not something it's not just anybody who can pick up a gun and become good with it. It takes skill just like everything else.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Not everybody who picks up a basketball is going to be Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. And not everybody who picks up a gun is going to be a Marine Corps sniper. It takes special skill and talent. So guns have a very important role in American lives, for good and for bad. As much as I love them, I have to say, though, they cause more harm than good. And I'm of the opinion that we need to find a way of getting rid of all weapons. This has been Red Onion Randy. I hope you enjoyed listening to me today. For those of you who listen to me on Apple Podcasts, I would appreciate it if you would review me and rate me, preferably 5 stars, but I'll take whatever you can give me. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you for using GTL.